McLean is our hog marketing analyst this week. For farrow to finish producers, losses increased to nearly $43 per head for the week ending November 30th. As we approach the end of 2012, we asked Ron Thursday what the yearly numbers look like for cost of production and losses per head.
Not very good, Jeff. It looks like we're going to have a new record high cost of production this year when all's said and done, somewhere around 66, 67 cents a pound on a live weight basis cost of production. Losses for the year are probably on average somewhere in the $15 to $20 per hog range.
So when you see those numbers, Ron, what gives you hope as you look into 2013?
Well, we're cutting the herd, and hopefully it'll rain next summer and feed costs will get lower. A lot of red ink in the livestock and poultry industry this year because of high feed costs, and so numbers are down. Farrowing intentions for this fall was down 2.7% for the winter, down 1.5%. So expecting hog slaughter down next year. USDA is forecasting 1.4% less pork next year. Beef down also, chicken down also, turkey down. In total, 2.2% less meat next year than this year. And so that makes us think prices ought to move higher.
Those numbers, Ron, do those compare, are those month to month or those year to year? I mean, I'm just trying to get the scope of what the drought has done so far this year.
Well, those are year over year changes, and you know what the drought did was push us up to record corn prices, record soybean meal prices. We had corn above $8 a bushel for a while and bean meal above $550 a ton. Led to a lot of red ink for meat producers, and so across the board we're looking at cutbacks.
All right, let's look at the meat then, because one of the concerning things that came out this week was the Restaurant Performance Index at its lowest level in 14 months. They measure things like cost, the traffic that they get in the restaurant. So is that a concerning thing if you're producing meat?
Yes, it is. You know, consumer demand is huge, and consumers' willingness to pay these higher prices. As I said, meat production is declining. That's hopefully going to mean higher prices, not only for meat, but also for the livestock and poultry that produce that meat. So any indication that consumers aren't willing to pay higher prices, aren't willing to go to restaurants and pay for these cuts of meat, that's certainly worrisome for the livestock and poultry industry.
You mentioned corn prices before. Stocks are incredibly tight here. When do you expect to see relief?
Well, I'm hoping we have a nice wet summer next year. I mean, that's the key. It was incredibly dry in a huge chunk of the Midwest. In fact, the most widespread drought since the 1950s here in 2012. We need normal weather next year. We're probably going to plant a bit more acres of corn next spring than we did this year, and we planted more acres this year than any year since 1937. If we can get rain June, July, that should push us above 14 billion bushels on a corn harvest next fall, and that should give us a lot of price relief for the livestock producers.
Give me your thoughts on the export market. What's the strength there?
Well, we're up almost 8% in pork exports for the first 3 quarters of this year. It's a very good sign. Doing well in a broad range of countries. A lot of that simply has to do with world economic growth being faster than here in the U.S., and also with the fact that the U.S. dollar is weak compared to foreign currencies, which makes U.S. meat products look attractive in the world markets.
The economy, though, isn't that also a concern?
Certainly, you got to worry. You know, the domestic market's the big factor, of course, in meat demand, and you got to worry with all the turmoil in Washington on the fiscal cliff, and whether or not we're going to generate economic growth. Without that, then even with tighter meat supplies, we may find consumers not willing or not able to pay higher prices.
Give me your price outlook here. We're into December. What do you expect to see at the end of the month and then as we enter the first part of 2013?
Well, carcass prices on hogs have been in the mid-80s here lately. Seasonally, this should be about as low as it goes for the time being. You should expect prices to improve. I would expect we'll probably have some days with carcass prices at $100 a hundredweight or $1 a pound by late May. So pretty steady increase as we move through the first half of 2013.